Welcome to the National Black Leadership and Empowerment Project series, Ask an Elder.
Hello, guys. My name is Aquil Ramirez. I'm a senior at Dickinson College studying economics, and joining me today is Ted Canto. Formerly attended Pomona College in California, and he was served as a chef for 50 years, and he now resides in Las Vegas. Hello, Ted. Would you like to say a couple words about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Hello. How are you today?
Good, and you? Good, and you?
Again, my name is Ted Cantu. I'm a retired chef, living a leisurely life in Las Vegas, really enjoying it. I'd like to, today we'll talk a little bit about my experience of when I went to college back, 40 years ago.
Yeah, different times.
Affiliation with the Black Panther Party and the Black movement on college campuses.
Okay. So I guess the first question here, just how was it as a man of color attended a predominantly white college 40 years ago? I imagine it to be very different than it is now.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a lot different than it is now. I was surrounded by a group of Black students there who kind of brought me in and protected me. I didn't know how to navigate I didn't know how to navigate the culture that I was in. I came from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I wasn't really raised in a typical Black culture. My grandparents were from the Cape Verde Islands, and they kind of worked in a Portuguese way. So I didn't have a lot of experience. And I went to a all-white private school until I got there.
No.
So I didn't have a lot of experience of handling myself among Black people, African Americans. I didn't know. So when I got on campus, and I remember the first night of the freshman picnic or cookout, I was standing and some students came up to me, African American students, and they asked me what I was. That question that has been a predominant question for all my life. Aggravating then and aggravating now.
Oh yeah. I can relate.
Yeah, that just came up in my memory. I hadn't thought about that. So, and so at the time, the term was African American. I said, I'm African American, and they're like, no, you're not. They called me Oriental. You know, Oriental.
Oh, I got it.
So it didn't go. The conversation didn't go on much longer. We got a hot dog, bug juice, and all that kind of stuff, and then we went into a meeting. And later on, a guy from Compton, California, approached me, and we talked about organizing on African American society on campus.
How was it being a part of that? How was it part of being that?
Well, I tell you, it was very exciting because the white college campus was not prepared for an organization of Black people. And once we began to band together, they were frightened of us. They were afraid. And I can tell you that on our Black Student Union on that campus bullied the white people. We really demanded things rather than really negotiated for them. And at that point in time, we were on the right side of the seesaw. And so we intimidated the campus. That's what that was. Everybody was afraid.
So, as you know, this year is a presidential election, 2020. Could you describe to me during your first time when you went to college? I'm assuming that was the first time you were legally able to vote. And could you talk about that experience? Like, was the school itself encouraging students of color to go vote? How was the school treating you?
No, they were not encouraging specifically people of color to go vote. They had organizations on campus that were voter centric and helping people get registered and things like that. So, that still goes on today, I think.
Yeah.
That's where I registered to vote.
Was any of your white peers or white counterparts, were they trying to discourage students of color to go from voting?
Mm. No, we didn't have that situation going on there on that campus. The white student, they were not really as organized about things as we were. So there wasn't any group of anti-voting towards us at all like that. So um, it wasn't as exciting as people might think it was. It was exciting for me because it was my first enfranchisement. So, but we didn't have a large black turnout.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But there was such an aggressive situation going on with the Black Panther Party.
Yep.
There was a lot of people who just didn't participate.
And voting, a lot of people that didn't participate in voting.
Right. Although we were encouraged to. It's an odd thing. It's one of those things. I'm thirsty, but I'm not going to take a drink of water, because it's not going to really matter to me. I need more than that. So people.
So some people felt like no matter what they vote wasn't going to change their situation. It wasn't going to change their experience.
So, the apathy that comes with my votes. We're not going to win, so I'm not going to vote.
Either way I vote is not gonna help me for the
right. Understanding the voting process. What upset me was the history that got us to the polls. That was one of the driving things for me, and it still is. I think as a black person, somebody for me to vote. We didn't have the right. We didn't have the right to vote. We had to fight for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We still had that system going on in 1965. The Voters' Right Act. Why do they have to pass it?
Yeah.
Those are the things that go on in my time.
And you talked earlier. I guess earlier you talked about being a part of the African American Union, right, or society, correct?
Student Union.
At the African American Student Union.
Well, it was called the Black Student Union.
Oh, the Black Student Union. Oh, like BSU. Okay, the Black Student Union.
Right.
Okay, could you talk about did you guys try to encourage like black people of color that weren't necessarily a part of that to go vote?
I don't remember us pushing very hard for that, and I don't know why. I know that I never brought it up to get other people to go to the polls. I don't know what the problem was for me, but so we had a small table. We didn't have any big push. There wasn't like a lot of megaphone stuff going on and things like that.
Oh. Okay. And when you went to go vote, did you feel like any like your white counterparts were like looking at you like, why are you here? Like, why are you voting? Did you feel like when the place where you went to go vote, were they trying to like discourage you in any way?
No, I don't remember being discouraged at all. I don't remember that there. I don't remember there were no separate lines, and this was 1969. There was no discouragement. There was not in LA.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So probably the California culture and stuff is probably more progressive than like a lot of other places.
California what culture? No,
yeah, California culture.
In LA, right?
Yeah.
So if you could go up and down the state, I'm sure you're going to find problems. I mean, if I was, let's say I was going to Long Beach State or something like that, down there where I could be more in Southern California, Ontario area, that sort of stuff. Things would have been a lot different. There was that whole segment off Interstate 5 that represented a seat of the John Birch Society. There were problems there for people to get to vote and things like that. There was a lot of intimidation going on and a lot of N-word stuff flying around. So that John Birch really very conservative organization. discourage anything for African Americans or blacks.
What would you how important would you try to explain to young people of color like how important voting actually is, and that their vote actually count, because there's a lot of young people of color that still feels like their vote doesn't count and is not going to change their situation. So what would you say to that?
I would say that the only reason your vote doesn't count is if you don't use it. You know, there's no guarantee that my vote is going to be for winner.
Uh-huh.
And that's not necessarily my primary reason for voting.
Uh-huh.
Certainly I have my choices, you know, but even if if I just like one candidate more than the other and it's in my political party,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote. And the reason that I'm going to vote today at 70 almost
Uh-huh.
is because of what we did when I was 18 and what my mother did when I was 15. My mother was in the March in the Resurrection City. You know,
Uh-huh.
she was down there fighting for the right act. She was working with
Uh-huh.
the kids, you know,
Uh-huh.
and I come from that group of liberal Democrats, you know,
Uh-huh.
who struck the sun and broke it.
Uh-huh.
Even today, that's one of my main reasons that I'll vote. I mean, I'm being honest with you, man. I'm not sure what city councilman is going to do more for me than the other one.
Uh-huh.
You know, but it's on the ticket.
Yeah.
It's on the ticket. Do just a little bit of research and vote. And I'm an up and down voter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I'm an up and down voter. I just vote down my ballot. So.
Okay, so I guess to switch up the conversation and take the conversation in a different direction. You talked about your Cape Verdean background and like how you didn't at first when you went to school, the other the other black students or African American students didn't accept you as such, right? Can you speak to how that made you feel?
Uh,
And what does and also like what does your blackness means to you?
well, how it made me feel was betrayed.
Uh-huh.
Betrayed. I understood that I didn't have the cosmetics, you know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? You know, of what was identified as black in the middle of the revolution.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? You know, so they're not going to put me on the poster, you know, as the black that's fighting for his rights.
Uh-huh.
But I am, and I was.
Uh-huh.
And so it was discouraging at first. And what it made me do was to become very active in the Black Student Union.
Oh, you felt like you had to make up for your lack of physical appearance.
Exactly. I had to bring in my views
Uh-huh.
and my eloquence to the argument
Yeah.
for blacks on campus. You know, I didn't have any difficulty identifying personally or internally.
Uh-huh.
Internally, I'm black.
Yeah.
And so I got, and oddly enough, you know, light-skinned blacks were more popular than dark-skinned blacks when it came to spokespersons.
Uh-huh.
And so, you know, I ended up becoming pretty large on campus, and
Uh-huh.
of course, my ego said it on that too.
Yeah.
But you know, Pomona was a pretty liberal campus, and pretty college.
Uh-huh.
You know, it didn't blow up.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like obviously for what I look like, you know, light skin with curly hair, I could definitely identify. Well, you know, sometimes not feeling like you may have to like prove your blackness because you don't physically appear black. Cause like my dad's Guatemalan and my mom is like African American, and I was predominantly raised by my mom, so I identify as both with my Latino side and my African American side, like equally. But you know, sometimes when I'm in like these African American spaces, um, they don't try to like take away my blackness from me, but like I'll get like the little jokes. Um, I remember one time like in high school, I'll never forget it. It was like during the time when a lot of like police brutality was like just it was like every day almost. It was like every day. It was like some racial injustice going on. And like my class told me, like I was in English class, and like my class told me like, because I guess I look different than everybody else in the class, and they was just like, like I'm not as black as them because I won't be able I can't like I because I don't look like them, like I don't have like the same fears as them. And for a minute like that like it didn't hurt me, but it was just like oh man, like
Yeah,
I always
I had to deal with that too. And what we
yeah
had then was what we would call the blackest than thou syndrome.
yeah
That was the 3-word expression
uh-huh,
that those of us like you and myself
uh-huh,
uh, would have to put on some of the African American the black students because they believed they were blacker than me.
yeah
And we call it the blacker than thou attitude.
yeah
But I can tell you because of that attitude, and it was a prevailing attitude,
uh-huh,
in the black African American community on campus. It wasn't
yeah
just it was prevailing. It was, so that's what drove me to become vocal
uh-huh,
uh, for the rights of African Americans. That's what drove me to push myself. I believe that I would become more accepted if I
yeah
demonstrated my commitment.
yeah um and going on with the idea of blackness, can you speak to about like what the Black Lives Matter movement like means to you and how you connect with it?
Now, today,
Yeah. Yep.
well, I certainly connect with it. I really believe that Black Lives Matter is a great not only slogan, a motto,
Uh-huh.
even a motivator. You know,
Uh-huh.
I believe it. So what I hope from the Black Lives Matter movement
Uh-huh.
is that we can become more unified as a bloc,
Uh-huh.
that we can set aside some of those diversities
Yeah.
uh, that tell us to disengage from being African American, from being black.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like filling a box
Uh-huh.
with IQ test or the SAT test of other. You know, I hate checking off that box.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, it's like I hate it. Like every time when I have to fill out a job or I'm applying for something like an application, it's just like it doesn't like it's like it'll actually like are you this but are you not that? Are you this? And it's like they don't give sometimes it doesn't even let you like get the option to pick pick two things. It just gives you one option and I just always have to pick other and I hate that so much.
Me too, because I'm not another
Yeah.
anyway. So in some ways, um, I can take some of the things that I think Black Lives Matter
Uh-huh.
could envelop and endorse situations like mine and maybe yours, where
Uh-huh.
our lives are considered black too,
Yeah.
because that expression, you're not a real black, is a hard thing to hear.
Yeah. Honestly. Honestly. Um I guess switching the conversation now to COVID-19. Right now, the pandemic has been crazy, like for everybody, but especially Black people and all people of color. It always seems to hit us and our communities the worst. Could you talk about like how has it affected you in any way, or how you feel about how has it affected the Black community?
Well, I can't speak too definitively about that because I don't go out.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Okay.
so um, it's affected the Black community and Hispanic community in a very here in Las Vegas
Uh-huh.
in a very significant way
Uh-huh.
financially.
Uh-huh.
10,000 casino employees
Uh-huh.
out, 10,000 just servers,
Wow.
bartenders. That's a huge block of people.
Yeah.
And that's just from the casinos.
Yeah.
Um, and so I don't go out, but I think that what I contemplate now is what things are going to be when it's over.
Uh-huh.
You know, coming from the restaurant background and
Uh-huh.
When people find out that they could do things with fewer people, they don't ever bring other people back.
Yeah.
They kind of adopt a different culture. So I'm concerned about that here, as is the Culinary Workers Union. So keep up with that. I don't participate, but I was so involved for so many years that I'm curious about it.
It's been a great conversation. Honestly, I really enjoyed this time here with you today. But I guess just to end this off, what gives you hope? What gives you hope for the future of all Black people? And like any advice that you want to give any Black students at going to predominantly white institutions, or just Black people in general? Like what advice would you give us?
I would use an old simple expression to start with, that hope is eternal. And that statement is made so that I don't put a time on hope. So I think for us, we should actually believe that we should be very hopeful about our future. I think after this next election, I may change. If he's reelected, I'm going to kind of go into despair for a little while.
We are. I know I am.
But the reason I have this hope for us is because over my life and experience, that we have more power than we realize. If we could somehow come up with not a Martin Luther King, but a dynamic, I think Barack could do it. A dynamic, magnetic personality that could, through oration, and deeds, how to become more cooperative with one another. So that when our competition, we're not to see each other as competition, but to find a way to work together to open up doors. I believe that there's lots going on right now. There's a lot of stuff going on politically that can give us an opportunity, although this Supreme Court justice thing came at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Our economics are in flux right now, but before we started this downturn, the Black economic situation was moving up.
Yeah.
It was moving up. We were growing in industry and in ownership and that sort of thing. So this is a big setback here. And I think it's going to be years for recovery. Education. I think we have more African Americans and Black students in getting education than we ever had.
Yeah.
And that's phenomenal to me, because I don't know what your tuition is, but I know 60 grand ain't covering it.
It's not, and the cost of higher education keeps going up.
$1,000.
A year.
A year. And we have 30% of our population living below the poverty line.
Yeah.
Those kinds of numbers don't work.
Nope.
Don't work. So, and we say that education is the way out of that situation, but I think opportunities are limited.
Yeah.
And then we have the entertainment industry, where we have a few Blacks with a lot of money. A lot of them and professional athletes. So we have some people that are donating millions and millions and millions of dollars to specific organizations or specific causes and things like that. So I think our financing can always be managed through encouragement and performance. One of the things that I wish there were available was a way for me to stay more up to date on how well we're doing. How Black businesses that are opening, and just kind of a way to like spot check to see where we are in terms of business, social programs, that sort of stuff. So, and then speak from you. One of the things that happened to me was when I left college, I didn't remain engaged. So what I think young people in college today, and I'm not sure it can be done like fraternities, because that can be a bad word.
Yeah.
But a way to set up some organizations that might be able to extend themselves beyond the graduating class. To look for organizations that groups of you could move in the right direction and bring college education to the playing field, to the table. To make sure that you stay engaged in a way that's meaningful.
Yep.
It's meaningful, but there are other ways to be engaged. It's like the birthday party.
Yeah.
So stay engaged. Stay engaged. You know, spend some time studying our 20th century history.
Yeah.
You can bring a deep root of pride for what we have going on now. African American compliments are not being discussed at all. What we have is white people trying to tell us how they're in favor of us, what their accomplishments can be. I mean, that's how I see it. No one's telling me what I can accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah.
You hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah. That may be the seed in this whole conversation.
Honestly.
Because it's my last note. I need to get in there.
Yep.
You know, so do like Malcolm said, don't be bamboozled.
No.
Do some research, man. Don't just wait till the polls and check out.
No. I got to do all the research, then go to the polls. That's how you make the best decision.
Exactly. You know, make sure you guys, you know, you have to have some political standard yourself.
Yeah, and not just with presidential elections, just like every type of local government, state government, got to get out and go vote, because those matter. Those may matter more.
Well, they do in our everyday life.
Yeah.
You know, the federal government's not telling me how fast I can drive on my street over here.
Yeah.
It's the city.
Yeah. Well.
All right, young man.
Yeah, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ted Canto.
This message has been brought to you by the National Black Leadership and Empowerment Project.